Today, we're going to turn a Raspberry Pi 5 into a local AI powerhouse using the new ASUS UGen300 M.2 AI module featuring the Hailo-10H accelerator at up to 40 TOPS. I'll show you how to physically install it into the Pironman 5 Pro Max case, walk through the complete software setup step by step, run local generative AI models directly on the Pi, and even test real-time AI vision object detection. We'll also use a custom chat application that provides useful performance statistics so you can see exactly how well local AI runs on the Raspberry Pi 5 using the new M.2 AI accelerator. I'm John, and welcome to Wagner's Tech Talk. I would like to thank ASUS for sending over the UGen300 M.2 AI module. If you have seen my AI Hat Plus 2 video, which I'll link to above, it allows running local generative AI models on the Raspberry Pi 5 utilizing the Hailo-10H AI accelerator at up to 40 TOPS Int4. It's designed by the Raspberry Pi Foundation and a nice way to run local AI models on the Pi. However, there are some drawbacks. The AI Hat Plus 2 only works with the Raspberry Pi 5, so you can't use the AI Hat Plus 2 with a device other than the Pi 5, and it's tightly woven into the PiOS software stack. While both the AI Hat Plus 2 and the ASUS UGen300 M.2 AI module use the same Hailo-10H accelerator at up to 40 TOPS and both include 8 GB of onboard RAM for local generative AI workloads, there's still one very important difference. The ASUS UGen300 is designed as a standard M.2 M-Key 2280 PCIe AI accelerator module, giving it much broader compatibility across compatible ARM and x86 systems running Linux, Windows, and Android. To keep this video reasonably short, we will use the UGen M.2 AI module with the Pironman 5 Pro Max case. The reason for using this case is threefold. It's the most feature-rich Raspberry Pi 5 case available today. It includes 2 M.2 NVMe slots, so you can have one running the AI module and the other one running an NVMe SSD. The AI Hat Plus 2 can't be used with this case, as the PCIe slot is used for the dual NVMe slots in the case. This makes the UGen300 a nice fit for the Pironman 5 Pro Max case. That is, if you're interested in exploring local generative AI models using that case. But, of course, many Raspberry Pi 5 M.2 adapters may work, as long as they support a 2280 M.2 Key M PCIe module, provide enough clearance, and don't conflict with the case or cooling setup. Here we have the Pironman 5 Pro Max case. For a detailed review and assembly guide, please see the link above. Adding the UGen300 M.2 is simple. We just remove the 4 screws on the side panel, move the panel off to the side, insert the UGen300 module into the empty NVMe slot, and tighten down the screw. And here's a quick look at the UGen300 M.2 and NVMe SSD both installed in the case. Then close up the case by reinstalling the 4 screws, and that's basically it. Now just plug in the full-size HDMI cable, any keyboard and mouse, and the power, and we're ready to install the software. At this point, we'll assume that you have PiOS Desktop 64-bit already installed. If not, and you need assistance with that, the Pironman 5 Pro Max video covers those steps in full detail using the latest version of PiImager. To reduce the complexity of setting up the UGen300 M.2 on most Debian Linux distributions, I created a guide on toucancreator.com, my new platform for tutorial creation and much more. From this guide, you can adjust your font size up or down, as well as click the theme icon in the upper right to toggle between color themes that you prefer. But I'll keep the white background for this video so it's easy to view. In the Helpful Resources section, you'll find links to various repositories where you can find additional documentation, code examples, model documentation, and more. The installation process, while easy if following along in the guide, does have a number of steps. We'll move quickly through the guide in this section of the video so you'll know exactly what's involved. For any of the commands on the page, you can simply click the copy icon and paste it directly into the terminal. You won't have to manually type that much until you're ready to begin prompting. I made this guide as easy as possible for you and went through it a few times just to make sure it'll go smoothly for you. You'll start by updating the target device, then install the required packages and clone the Hailo driver repository. Then load the config.txt file, and at the bottom of the file, add these two lines. Then press Ctrl and X at the same time, Y and Enter to save it. I did wind up adding this to the guide later also. Then reboot. After the reboot, we'll then compile the PCIe driver by pasting the following commands. Once compiled, we'll issue the ls command to verify the Hailo-1X_PCI.ko file was built successfully, which it was. Now proceed with the steps to download the firmware and download it. We'll then create the Hailo firmware directory. We'll use the find command to determine the exact file name of the firmware. Your version number may differ, so please do check the version before running the next command and change the file name to match the version that you have if it's different. Then run the commands to move the firmware, and then the command to create the symbolic link. We'll then issue these commands to build the driver. Next, we'll set the UDEV rules. These rules make the Hailo PCIe device writable by all users, so you don't need sudo access to the accelerator. Without them, many Hailo applications or AI tools may fail with permission-denied errors when trying to communicate with the device. We'll enter this command to create the file, then paste these lines into the editor and save the file. The next set of commands will reload the updated UDEV device rules and immediately apply them to the connected devices. We'll then reboot and verify that the driver loaded successfully. We'll now run lsmod and we can see if the device driver was loaded, which it is. Next, we'll issue the lspci command to make sure that we see the AI processor, which shows the Hailo-10H and the hardware identification codes. We'll then verify the firmware loaded successfully by checking these lines appear in the list. And a quick verification that the node exists. Based on what we see here, everything is installed correctly and working. There is a brief checklist at the bottom of things you may want to double check before we install the large language models or LLMs. We'll then issue this apt command to install several common development and Python tools on Linux. Next, we'll install the Ollama Server. This will take a few minutes, so I'll speed up the process. We'll then check the version that was installed, and we're running 0.23.2. For this next step, you'll need to create a developer account on the Hailo.ai website to download the Hailo runtime component. After you create the account, proceed to the link, select Hailo-RT, ARM64, and Linux as the platform. Scroll down and select Hailo-RT Ubuntu Debian package for ARM64 and click the download button. Now going back to the guide, we'll issue this command to install it. We'll then check that it's the correct version, which is 5.3.0. We'll now install the cmake tool for compiling. In some distributions it may already be installed, but it isn't typically installed by default on PiOS desktop. So we'll run these commands. We'll clone the Hailo Models Zoo Gen AI repository, then issue the build command to compile the project. This step will take a while, so it's a great time to go grab a drink or a snack and come back to it. Great! Now the Ollama server has been built with the Hailo runtime support enabled. Next, we'll install the Hailo-Ollama Server by issuing this command to install it. Now the fun begins. We can now start the Ollama server by issuing Hailo-Ollama. The server is now up and running on port 8000. Now open another terminal session and issue this curl command to not only verify that the server responded properly, but also returns a list of models. On the guide, you'll find commands for installing various models. You can choose any or all of them. Keep in mind it will take a while to download each model. For that reason, I opened several terminal sessions, issued the command for each, and downloaded all the models. Once the download completes, you can then run this command to send a message to the model and get a response. However, the response isn't easy to read as it's in a JSON format. To make interacting with the model more natural and providing some useful statistics about the requests and the response, I created a chat demo Python program for you. Just copy the code into a text editor, save the file as halochatdemo.py, and run it using the command on the guide. From here, you can just press enter to accept the default host and port, and then select the model you want to use. I'll go with Qwen2 1.5b, which is a 1.5 billion parameter model. Then I'll ask the model to tell me a joke. The response is returned very quickly. I didn't speed up the video here. I'll then ask the model to write 2 paragraphs explaining what a single board computer is, and the response is returned fairly quickly. Based on the statistics, we can see the estimated number of response tokens was 191, and the estimated tokens per second was 10.98. For a Pi 5 running with an AI module, this is pretty good performance. There are many more examples on the guide to help you get started and test with the various models, so have fun and explore what you can do. You can type exit at any time and press enter if you want to exit the program, restart it, and switch models. While working on this video, I wanted to make it even easier to use the chat demo application. So now, you don't even need to download the models manually like I showed earlier. Instead, the demo app queries the Hailo-Ollama server, and if the model isn't already downloaded, it'll download it automatically for you when you select it from the list. This should make using the chat demo much easier. I've updated the guide with this new code. Additionally, I added a section for Open WebUI if you prefer to use this tool instead. It provides a nice web-based user interface that allows you to select the model you want to use and begin conversing with the local model. Just select the model in the upper left, then type in your prompt. I personally prefer the chat example as it provides more details. It's a lightweight Python script and requires less overhead to run, but you use what you prefer. This video wouldn't be complete without an AI vision example, so you'll also find a section on that. To save time, I installed the example applications already, so we'll just run the Halo object detection example. It easily identifies the cup that the alien was holding, but didn't seem to identify the alien itself as anything other than a toothbrush, which I guess it sort of looks like, maybe? I don't know. It had no problem identifying my hand and arm as a person, nor the cell phone. ASUS not only sent over the UGen300 M.2, but also a USB version of it as well. We'll be checking this one out in a future video, so be sure and subscribe if you're interested in seeing it. There's much more we could explore with this, but I think we're at a good stopping point. If there's anything else you'd like to see added to the guide or any questions that I can answer, please let me know in the comments below. I like that the UGen300 is device agnostic and that it allows you to use it on Linux and Windows. That makes it an excellent option for using local generative AI models across various types of hardware. In terms of pricing, the ASUS UGen300 is actually quite competitive compared to the AI Hat Plus 2. I'll have links below if you're interested, but at the time this video was created, the UGen300 M.2 8GB version shown in this video was priced around $229 US, while offering much broader compatibility across multiple ARM and x86 platforms. By comparison, the Raspberry Pi AI Hat Plus 2 is designed exclusively for the Pi 5 ecosystem and was listed at approximately $346 US from at least one seller on Amazon at the time of this recording. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do me a favor and click the like button. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, including the UGen300 USB device, please consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss it. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.